episode 499, another special afternoon episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Gonna talk some quick pro wrestling news and notes right here, right now, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Hey Wrestling Fanatics, welcome to another bonus afternoon episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic on this Saturday. Lance Brock here, just for another quick episode to talk some more little quick things about pro wrestling real quick on this Saturday. Earlier on Good Morning Wrestling Fans, I talked a little bit about Rampage last night. There's another thing that I forgot to talk about, and that was the segment with Don Callis and Sammy Guevara joining the Don Callis family along with Konosuke Takeshita, and which Chris Jericho came out. And that was where Sammy Guevara explained the heel turning on Chris Jericho. And that led to a 2-on-1 attack. Guevara and Takeshita double teaming Chris Jericho. And then there was a save by someone who, I guess you could say probably unlikely to save Chris Jericho, and that was Kenny Omega making his way to the ring with a pipe, cleared the ring and made the save. And of course Jericho did the thing where he accidentally backed up into him. So looks like we could possibly see at the Wrestle Dream pay-per-view on October 1st a tag match between Jericho and Omega taking on Sammy Guevara and Konosuke Takeshita with Don Callis in their corner. That's a match that I would like to see. I think that'd be a good tag team match. I mentioned earlier on GMWF that the Righteous, Vincent, and Dutch became the number one contenders for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. Will be facing Adam Cole and MJF, the team known as Better Than You, Baby, at Wrestle Dream. So far on October 1st, looks like we have a pretty stacked card so far for that pay-per-view. And so far on this Saturday, no new WWE releases to talk about just yet anyway. I mentioned this morning on GMWF, Matt Riddle announced on Twitter or X that he is no longer with WWE. And I don't know if we could possibly see him go to AEW in the future or another promotion. And I know I probably sound like one of those people when they talk about music, they always say, oh, I listened to that band before they were famous. I have a habit of talking about certain wrestlers, and I always say, oh, I watched them back when they were on the indies, before when they were in the major promotions, and Matt Riddle. I know he did some MMA stuff, but I first heard of him when he was on the Indies. He did some stuff with Evolve, I believe, which WWE owns now. Just like Darby Allin, I first saw him in Evolve. And I did see something just a little bit ago that we could possibly see Dolph Ziggler in AEW, which would not surprise me at all. His brother Ryan Nemeth there, the Hollywood Hunk. I wouldn't be surprised to see them form a tag team in AEW. That would definitely help the AEW tag team division. Just my opinion anyway. But I also did see a report of possibly WWE rehiring some of the released talent, but that is definitely not official as of right now. And I forgot to mention this morning that tonight's episode of AEW Saturday Collision is in my home state of Michigan, Grand Rapids, but unfortunately won't be able to make that trip tonight. I'll be watching at home at the 360 Studios, and sometime tonight, maybe an hour or two or so after Collision, we'll have a new episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, which will be episode 500, which, now that I think about it, I probably should have saved the Pro Wrestling Illustrated PWI 500 talk for tonight, since it's episode 500 and would be talking about the PWI 500, so that would have made sense, but I already talked about that Wednesday night on 360 Wrestling Fanatic, where I also talked about Dynamite Grand Slam. That's available wherever you listen to podcasts, so in case you missed that episode, you can go check that out. Please and thank you. And also, I forgot to mention, I forget a lot of things, but last night Ian Riccaboni joined Excalibur and Tony Schiavone on commentary. Another thing that was a little different than Dynamite and Rampage. Normally the announce desk was at ringside, which usually is for Collision. And Ian Riccaboni, I think he might be one of the most underrated commentators in pro wrestling today. I think he's great. He, especially on Ring of Honor, him and Caprice Coleman, I think that could be a candidate right there for commentary team of the year. I'll have to remember that at the end of the year when I do a best of 2023 episode. Doesn't seem like the year should be almost over just yet, but we're already almost towards the end of September. But tonight, Saturday Collision, which also has a very good commentary team of Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness, which I always talk about post wrestling as well. John Pollock and Wade Ting, the Post Wrestling Cafe on Patreon. I recommend subscribing to that. Only $6 a month gets you in the door, and then there are higher tiers as well. But the $6 one, you can listen to Rewind Away from last Thursday, where they talked about the documentary Last of McGuinness, which of course is about Nigel McGuinness, talking about his run in Ring of Honor, in TNA Impact, and his health issues, and at the time not getting signed by WWE, which at the time was kind of a sad story at the end, but he is doing much better now in AEW. And that's all for this quick episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 499. Hope everyone will be back for episode 500, hopefully sometime tonight, talking about AEW Saturday Collision. Remember all the social media, mostly Twitter at 360 Wrestling Pod. All the new episodes get posted there right away. And Instagram 360 Wrestling Podcast. Also have Facebook 360 Wrestling Podcast, although it's not updated as much. I might start updating that more soon in the future, but you can go ahead and like the page now if you want. And that's all for now until later tonight. Until then, I am Lance and I am a wrestling fanatic.